Hi and welcome to my PlayHouse, and today is another Lenovo video. This is a bit too much, I'm gonna take it down. So in the last video I installed the license for Lenovo XClarity Administrator to making it a Pro version, which means that we can now use the features that this license opens up for. And one of those features are the patterns that is opened up. And what patterns is, it opens up a lot of settings in the BIOS and in the storage settings and so on and so forth. It doesn't make a lot of sense if you just have one or two servers like I have, but I have at work. I have bought like 9 servers and all of them has to be alike, and then actually in real life the department that had bought these servers came and said, well, we don't think they're performing the right way. Is there any way that we can adjust some settings in the BIOS? And yes, there is. So what you kind of do is that you go into the BIOS and you ask it to take an image of how the BIOS settings is now. So it kind of takes all the settings and it makes a template on those, and then you can open that template, do your changes and save that as another template called patterns. I don't know why they didn't call it templates, but well, they call it patterns. And that means that you can take this pattern and you can assign it to all the 9 servers. And well, in this case you just assign it and it asks you, do you want to put these settings on here now, or should we put the settings on now and wait for the reboot, or can we reboot now? And that's rather important in a production environment. You are not always allowed to boot every server right away. In big environments you have change procedures and system owners and cap and all that good stuff that you have to make sure. So often you can make the changes and next time the server boots, well, those changes will apply to the server. So that's what we're gonna try today. We're gonna be messing around with this awesome Lenovo SR650. We're gonna go into the XClarity Administrator Pro and we're gonna take all of those BIOS settings and we're gonna have a look at what other settings they are bragging about that they can do in there, and we're gonna make our own little image template pattern thing, and we're gonna alter some stuff and we're gonna push it out to the server and see if that will happen. I know it's stupid because I only have that one server, but if I had 100, it really makes good sense. You are perfectly sure that every server has the right settings set, and it will continuously check if the settings are correct. If someone comes and alters just this tiniest little thing on that server, it will flag it and say this server is not compliant, which is a good thing. There might be a good reason for it why it's not compliant, but well, at least you will know that it's not compliant. And yeah, if you change something, all the servers will be non-compliant again and you will have to often do a reboot. Sometimes you won't, but yeah, let's go to the computer and mess around with this. Okay, we moved to the computer, so let's switch to the screen and see where we are at here. I have the Lenovo XClarity login screen here, and I've put in my username and password credentials kind of, and let's log in. I have 4 Lenovo servers that it can see. 3 of them are on. One of them I have removed power from to save power. When we're going to be working with patterns, we go up here to provisioning, and up here under provisioning we have server configuration patterns. So let's go in there, and in here we will find that, well, when I got this server back in January, I saved these patterns from this server. You can kind of see that I've written here, I haven't touched it. So, and that's just, well, when the server was brand new, I put that in. I still haven't touched it, so I could just use this one, but for the sake of it, I think we should create a new one just to do that. So let's go and create new patterns for this file, and we can do that by creating new patterns here, or we can go over here and we can create new patterns here. It looks to be exactly the same button, so let's check this one. And finding stuff, create new patterns from existing server, create a new pattern from scratch. It is recommended to create new patterns from an existing server. If you do it from scratch, there are some settings that it doesn't include. I am not sure which, but I got this recommendation from a Lenovo technician guy that I respect very much, and he said that, well, there is stuff that this from scratch does not include. If they came up with something new in the servers, well, it will not be included here, it will only be included here. You get the most options by generating these patterns from an existing server, and the number of settings are also dependent on what version of the BIOS and stuff that you're using. So if they come up with something new and you create patterns from that BIOS, well, you will have some settings that would not be available otherwise. So we're gonna go for this option. It shows us the 2 servers where we can do this from. I only have 2 servers that is able to do that, and that's the awesome Lenovo X3650 Model 5 and the awesome Lenovo SR650. And today we're going to be using the SR650. So I picked that one, and let's give it a name. Clean new. Cool. Okay. Next. It thinks about it. I think we're gonna go to local storage, see what it comes up with. And these things are kind of important, because if you're doing this on a lot of servers, those servers has to be 100% alike. Like, of course, the serial number of the disks will not be alike, but you have to have the same size disk, and they have to be at the same location, they have to have the same RAID controller, and they have to be at the same port in the RAID controller, and well, that is important. So we have 3 options here: specify storage configuration, keep existing storage configuration, disable local disk. We are just gonna keep whatever we have. I only have this 1 server, so we can't mess it up much. In the patterns, I can go and tell it how it should configure the drives as well. So if I want to have the RAID controller set up a RAID 6 and partition out a boot drive and a data drive and a log drive, and well, I should be able to do that in here. For this, we're just going to be keeping existing storage configuration on target. So next, then we have the IO adapters. That's the same thing. If you have a whole bunch of servers, those IO adapters, they have to be in the same slots on all of the servers that you're doing this with. You can go in here and disable it and tell it doesn't matter, don't worry about it. But if someone moves a network card from one slot to another slot, it will call it out and say that this server is not compliant and complain about that something is wrong. This network card is in the wrong place. Same thing here, you get different options that you can do with these network cards. I have not tried this yet, so I'm not entirely sure what you can actually configure here. But it's network cards, it's more or less all the IO cards that Lenovo knows. If you're putting in a PCI adapter that is not on a service from Lenovo and not sold by them, I am not sure what it's gonna do. So this is cool. We're just gonna go next. Here we have like boot devices. We can set that here. That's very nice. If you're doing 10 servers, that you can go in here and tell it how are you gonna boot this, which device is first, which is next, which is whatever. Windows Boot Manager. Is there Windows on there? I forget. I don't remember installing anything. But there are different options. You can even do some SAN boot if it had an iSCSI or fiber optic adapter, which it does not. Okay. Wake and LAN can be configured as well, or primary boot. So Windows Boot Manager. Let's keep it that way. Next. Here we go to the system information, management interface, device IO ports, extended BMC, extended Wi-Fi. This one down here is all of the BIOS settings, and there are some different options here that you can pick from, some standards that you can pick. We are right now just gonna be recording this, so we're just gonna keep as is. Gonna click save here, and it's gonna do its thing. And that didn't take long at all, did it? No, that didn't take long at all. That was way too fast. So yeah. So now we have created a pattern for it, clean, new. And this pattern, we can do all kind of different stuff. So we can go into it, and we see the different stuff that is in here. We can go and see the UEFI settings down here. Different, let's see some processor stuff. Where's that processor there? So we might be setting up some hyper-threading or not hyper-threading, and it might be in here that we wanted to set the Intel virtualization technology enabled, or turbo mode enabled. Might want to disable that, or hyper-threading, which is right here, is enabled. We might want to disable that. And if, let's say, we had 6 different settings, it would be really nice to just do that on 10 servers with a few clicks. And that is what you can do with these patterns. You can alter this. Right now we are just looking at them. If we go back here and pick this one, we can edit it with this button up here, edit patterns, and it will kind of open it up in the view that we saw before. So my settings here, and we can go in here and we can edit. Let's say that we wanted to disable hyper-threading on this. We can go and do that. Hyper-threading is enabled. We can disable that, and we can save as. Let's save as. It will ask us what we are gonna call that. There we are. So we can save that here, which means that now we have another extended UEFI BIOS setting to pick from. So we can very quickly pick this one without hyper-threading, or this one was the one that we just did where it had learned it, so we can go forth and back. So I can do this machine, I can kind of have this pattern that makes the server do one thing, meaning that I could actually have a server with multi-boot. And from in the Lenovo XClarity Administrator, I could have a Linux setup where it boots a Linux system and sets up the BIOS settings in a specific way for this Linux server. And I could have another boot, maybe Hyper-V. I kind of know that Hyper-V needs some other BIOS settings to work properly, and I could switch between those two. And one minute it could be a Linux server, and the next minute it could be a Microsoft server. I would just have to go in here and tell it which pattern to load. And yeah, that would be really neat. Maybe we should try that sometime. So let's try this data one, and we can save. So, but right now we just have the pattern, and we haven't assigned the pattern to the server. So if we have our new pattern here, where hyper-threading is turned off, we can select that, and we can deploy that here. Deploy the selected server patterns, and we get to pick which server we can deploy that to. You have to be very careful here, because this is where you can deploy it and the server will boot. What this means is that it will do all the settings and it will reboot the server. This middle one, it will do all of the BMC, which in this case is the XCC, which is the management module in the server. It will do all of those settings, and it will get ready so that the first time you boot the server after this, it will also do the UEFI BIOS settings, but it won't boot the server, which is also says out here that it's not gonna restart. It's gonna be waiting for that. And then this last one, generate a profile with the settings for review. It's not doing much, but it's not activated. So we're gonna go for the full one, because this is just a test server, and it shows us our different servers, and only one of them is ready to have this on here. So I'm gonna select my awesome Lenovo SR650, and we're gonna deploy this pattern to it. And it doesn't normally take very long. It gives us a bit of a warning, kind of that, yeah, you are actually gonna boot this server. And that's not always a good thing in a production environment, to start booting servers. But we are all good. And it tells us again, I will actually boot the server. Yes, fine. So we can jump and we can see what it's doing. that is doing something here. Server profile activation. There. Pending. Yeah, we got an error. I'm not sure what that is all about. If we click on it here, it will tell us. Oh, now it actually says some more. Stop with error. Activation profile. Stop with error. Let's go check if the server has a profile or not. Okay, that is weird. So let's check it out, see what it sees. Well, it says down here that the pattern is on there. So far, so good. It says that this pattern is in use, which means that it has been deployed. And it was created that day. You can see here dependencies. You can see that it's on my server. Activation failed. Okay, so we can pick it and we can try and activate it again. Let's see if we are lucky the next time. Possibly 4. Activate server now. Let's see if that will do the trick. It's working on it again. Okay, this might have failed because the server is not compliant on the firmware level. If we check it out here, there, we can see that it's not compliant here, because if we take this out, we can see that the XCC is on a level 3, and I had asked it to be on a level 2.5, which is an older firmware for the XCC, but well, it never downgraded it. So I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna upgrade the server is already upgraded. I'm gonna tell the policy and the firmware template here that okay, it has to go to 3. So we go up here on the provisioning, compile policies, compliance policies, and we pick this one. Oh, we click it. There, we have our policy there. We edit it, and in here we can expand it. And right here, the XCC backup is set to 2.5. So if we click down and we pick 3, and we save that, save policy, there. Now it's not assigned because now this policy is not. Let's go back and see if it. I think it might have created a new one, just with a different settings. So let's check that. There, the policy has not been set. Oh, we just have to set it actually. So let's try and do that. Perform update. That shouldn't take long because it doesn't have to do much, but we have to. Oh, we didn't select it. There we go. Assigning, not compliant. Perform update. There we are. Yes, let's try that. See if we get that. Shouldn't take long. 2%. Be right back. Okay, so with that little bit of cheating, we now have a server here that is compliant on the firmware. And if we check here, we can see that the primary and the backup is now both on version 3. Awesome, cool. Let's go back and see if we can now add our patterns. There, and use activation failed. Oh, that's not so good. So let's pick that and let's try that again. Rule, activate, and activate. Okay, we'll go to jobs and partial jobs. And we can see that the server is now trying to activate anyway. So I'm gonna let that run. It usually takes a bit, and this video is getting long already. Okay, I would have loved to tell you that that was just peachy and worked like a charm. The fact is that it did not. So I have deleted my patterns again, and I'm gonna try this over and create a new one, which is really irritating. So, but I'm still gonna be creating patterns from. I'm gonna be using this server. I'm gonna call it something simple. I don't want that to be the problem. So sometimes weird letters can do weird stuff. So we're gonna try and continue doing that. And that's where this video comes to an end. I can't figure this out. There's just not enough help. Why doesn't this want to activate that profile for me so that I can use the patterns on my server? I don't get it. Why are the error messages, why don't they say anything? Why not say why this isn't working? There's an error, why not say why there's an error? This is stupid. I don't like it. I did this at work on 9 servers and it worked. And then I try on my own server and it doesn't work. Irritating. So we're gonna continue this when I figure this out. Yeah, I try to show you the good things and the bad things, and this one is one of the bad things because I was hoping to show you just how fantastic this was, and at the moment I'm not that happy about it. So yeah, thank you for watching my videos. Do subscribe to my channel so that you can see me again, and have a really nice day. Bye bye.